In 2019, 87-year-old Evelyn Moriarty revealed a secret she had kept for 60 years before her death. I was Marilyn Monroe's stunt double, and what I saw, nobody would believe. What she told that day would change Hollywood history. Evelyn Moriarty was Marilyn Monroe's stunt double from 1954 to 1962. For 8 years, she had taken Marilyn's place in every film, every scene. "I was Marilyn's shadow," Evelyn would say. "I'm the only one who knows what really happened when the cameras weren't rolling." In her final interview before her death, she told stories no one had ever heard: Hollywood's dark truths, the cruelty of the studio system, Marilyn's secret pain. And in those stories, Marilyn Monroe was someone we never knew. "I was shocked when I first met Marilyn," says Evelyn. "Everyone thinks she was strong and confident. But I saw a fragile, frightened woman." 1954, the 7-year itch filming. Evelyn was only 22, Marilyn was 28. Marilyn came to me and said, "Are you my stunt double?" I said yes. She said, "Good, because I'm very scared." What was that fear? Evelyn learned on the first day. Director Billy Wilder was a very harsh man. He would yell at Marilyn, "Are you stupid? We've shot this scene 10 times. Marilyn had run off set, crying. Evelyn followed her. She was crying in the bathroom. She asked me, "Am I really stupid, Evelyn?" "Everyone says so." Evelyn was surprised. "Marilyn, you're the world's most famous actress. But I don't know anything. They constantly humiliate me." That day, Evelyn realized Marilyn Monroe's real life was hell. Marilyn didn't want to come to set every morning, Evelyn explains. She was afraid to leave her house, because she knew that day she'd be humiliated and yelled at again. The studio system was ruthless. They used psychological pressure to control Marilyn. Daryl Zanuck would openly tell Marilyn, "You're just a pretty face. You have no brains." I would see Marilyn's eyes fill with tears. But the worst happened after the cameras stopped rolling. During Some Like It Hot filming, Marilyn had gotten pregnant, but she wasn't telling anyone. Evelyn had noticed. She had morning sickness, looked very tired. When I asked, she said nothing's wrong. For that famous scene, they did 47 takes. Marilyn stood under the wind machine for hours while pregnant. That night, she started complaining about stomach pain. The next day, we learned she was in the hospital. But the studio didn't even care that Marilyn lost her baby. When Billy Wilder heard Marilyn was hospitalized, he said, "Good, at least now she can focus on filming," Evelyn says angrily. Marilyn returned to set 3 days later. Her eyes were red. She had lost a lot of weight, but nobody asked, "How are you?" Evelyn had tried to comfort Marilyn that day. "Marilyn, maybe you should rest." "I can't rest, Evelyn. If I rest, they'll fire me. I have to work." Evelyn also witnessed how Marilyn's drug addiction began. During Bus Stop filming in 1956, the studio doctor started giving Marilyn energy pills, she explains. Marilyn asked, "What is this?" The doctor said, "Vitamins. They'll improve your performance." It was actually amphetamines. Amphetamines for energy during the day, barbiturates for sleep at night. A vicious cycle had begun. 6 months later, Marilyn couldn't live without the pills. Marilyn would take 3 to 4 pills in the morning, 2 to 3 pills at lunch, and sleeping pills at night, says Evelyn. Her eyes were blurry, her speech was slow. "I didn't dare say anything about this, because the studio doctor was giving them. It looked medical. But Evelyn knew the truth. They were drugging Marilyn to control her. So Marilyn would stay calm, wouldn't rebel. Chemical restraint. Evelyn also witnessed the beginning of Marilyn's relationship with JFK. There was a party in 1961. Marilyn was very excited. She said, "The president wants to meet me." After that party, Marilyn's life completely changed. Marilyn was a different person, happier but also more paranoid. She kept saying, "They're following me." And she really was being followed. FBI agents started hanging around the set, says Evelyn. They said security, but everyone knew the real reason. Marilyn's phone conversations were being monitored. Her mail was being read. Every move was being watched. Marilyn was going crazy. She'd ask me, "Evelyn, I'm not being paranoid, am I? They really are watching me?" "Yes, Marilyn, they're watching you," I had to say. During Let's Make Love filming, Marilyn's affair with Yves Montand began. Marilyn was desperately in love, says Evelyn, but Eve was married. He only wanted an affair. Marilyn's heart was broken again. But this time, it was different. Marilyn would ask, "I always choose the wrong people. Is the problem with me?" What happened on her last film, Something's Got to Give, traumatized Evelyn forever. Marilyn was in complete psychological breakdown at that point. But the relationship quickly became complicated. JFK's Secret Service agents constantly monitored Marilyn. I was also put under surveillance. FBI agents interrogated me. What does Marilyn Monroe talk about with JFK? Did they discuss state secrets? I said, I don't know, I'm just a stunt double. But the pressure was intense, the breakdown. In the final film, Marilyn's mental state was critical. On Something's Got to Give, Marilyn was completely different, paranoid, confused, desperate. One day she told me, "Evelyn, am I real? Sometimes I don't feel myself. I'm like a robot." She couldn't memorize lines. Takes were endlessly repeated. George Cukor was going crazy. In the final scene, Marilyn went into the pool naked. She said, "This is my real self, without masks, without pretense." At that moment, I understood. This was her goodbye, to the industry, to the world, to everyone. Final days. Evelyn witnessed Marilyn's final days. When Dean Martin quit the production, the studio panicked. They blamed Marilyn for everything. They said, "You're unprofessional, unreliable. Your career is over." Marilyn was devastated. "Evelyn, I've given 16 years to this industry. Now they're throwing me away like trash." In our last conversation, she said, "Maybe the world would be better off without me. I just create problems for everyone." I tried to reassure her, "Marilyn, you're talented, beautiful, people love you." She said, "People love my image, not me. Nobody loves the real Marilyn." The cover-up. After Marilyn's death, Evelyn witnessed systematic cover-up. Studio executives immediately went into damage control mode. They said, "This was suicide, tragic but personal." But I knew the truth. Marilyn had been murdered by the system, slowly, systematically. The FBI wanted a statement from me. What did Marilyn say about JFK? Any state secrets? I said nothing, but it was clear they were doing damage control. 60 years later, Evelyn explained why she was speaking now. "I'm 87 years old, dying. I don't want to take these secrets to my grave. Marilyn Monroe deserves the truth to be known. She was a victim, not a villain." Modern people think Marilyn was weak or crazy, but I saw a strong woman trying to survive in impossible circumstances. She struggled against the system, and the system killed her. Impact on Hollywood. According to Evelyn, Marilyn's death forced Hollywood to change. After the 1960s, actors' unions became stronger, agents more protective, drugs less openly distributed, but the fundamental power structure stayed the same. Studios still control, actors still vulnerable. Marilyn's sacrifice paved the way for more humane treatment, but the cost was too high. 3. Personal reflection. Evelyn's personal reflection was painful. I was Marilyn's shadow for 8 years. I watched her get destroyed and couldn't help. Sometimes I think, could I have done more? Could I have saved her? But I understand now. I was also a victim. The system controlled me too. If I had spoken out, I would have been destroyed too. Self-preservation instinct kicked in. Final message. Evelyn's final message was clear. Marilyn Monroe was a martyr. She was sacrificed for Hollywood reform. Her death changed everything. Labor laws, union protection, medical ethics, everything improved. But the price was too high. A brilliant, talented woman was destroyed by a cruel system. Remember Marilyn not as a tragic figure, but as a brave woman who refused to conform. She fought for authenticity in impossible circumstances. That's the real Marilyn Monroe. Not sex symbol, not victim, fighter. Evelyn Moriarty died peacefully in her sleep in 2019, 3 weeks after her final interview. Her testimony is archived at UCLA Film School, preserved for future generations. Marilyn Monroe's real story finally told by the woman who knew her best, from shadow to light. 60 years later, truth at last.